Love's bright sunshine play upon your heart. Come now unto your gladness, peace, and rest. Bid the dark shades of selfishness depart, and now and evermore be truly blessed. Author's foreword to original edition. This is by James Allen, this foreword. Let's read this. So, I looked around upon the world and saw that it was shadowed by sorrow and scorched by the fierce fires of suffering. And I looked for the cause. I looked around but could not find it. I looked in books but could not find it. I looked within and found there both the cause and the self made nature of that cause. I looked again and deeper and found the remedy. I found one law, the law of love, one life, the life of adjustment to that law, one truth, the truth of a conquered mind and a quiet and obedient heart. And I dreamed of writing a book which should help men and women, whether rich or poor, learned or unlearned, worldly or unworldly, to find within themselves the source of all success, all happiness, all accomplishment, all truth. And the dream remained within me, and at last became substantial. And now I send it forth into the world on its mission of healing and blessedness, knowing that it cannot fail to reach the homes and hearts of those who are waiting and ready to receive it. So, part one of this contents is the path of prosperity. Part two is the way of peace. So, part one, the path of prosperity. The lesson of evil. Unrest and pain and sorrow are the shadows of life. There is no heart in all the world that has not felt the sting of pain, no mind that has not been tossed upon the dark waters of trouble, no eye that has not wept the hot, blinding tears of unspeakable anguish. There is no household where the great destroyers, disease, and death have not entered, severing heart from heart and casting over all the dark pool of sorrow. In the strong and apparently indestructible meshes of evil, all are more or less fast caught. And pain, unhappiness, and misfortune wait upon humankind, with the object of escaping or in some way mitigating this overshadowing gloom. Men and women rush blindly into innumerable devices, pathways by which they fondly hope to enter into a happiness that will not pass away. Such are those who revel in sensual excitements. Such are the exclusive aesthetes, Aesthetes, who shut themselves out from the sorrows of the world, page 56, and surround themselves with enervating luxuries. Such are those who thirst for wealth or fame and subordinate all things to the achievement of that object. And such are those who seek consolation in the performance of religious rites. And to all the happiness sought seems to come, and the soul for a time is lulled into a sweet security and an intoxicating forgetfulness of the existence of evil. But the day of disease comes at last, or some great sorrow, temptation, or misfortune breaks suddenly in on the unfortified soul, and the fabric of its fancied happiness is torn to shreds. So over the head of every personal joy hangs the Damoclean sword of pain, ready at any moment to fall and crush the soul of those who are unprotected by knowledge. The child cries to be a man or a woman. The man and woman sigh for the lost felicity of childhood. The poor chafe under the chains of poverty by which they are bound, and the rich often live in fear of poverty, or scour the world in search of an elusive shadow they call happiness. Sometimes the soul feels that it has found a secure peace and happiness in adopting a certain religion, in embracing an intellectual philosophy, or in building up an intellectual or artistic ideal. But some overpowering temptation proves the religion to be inadequate or insufficient. The theoretical philosophy is found to be a useless prop, or in a moment the idealistic statue upon which the devotee has for years been laboring is shattering into fragments. Is there then no way of escape from pain and sorrow? Are there no means by which the bonds of evil may be broken? Are permanent happiness, security, prosperity, and abiding peace just a foolish dream? No, there is a way, and I speak it with gladness, by which evil can be overcome. There is a process by which disease, poverty, or any adverse condition or circumstance can be put on one side, never to return. There is a method by which a permanent prosperity can be secured, free from all fear of the return of adversity. And there is a practice by which unbroken and unending peace and bliss can be partaken of and realized. The beginning of the way that leads to this glorious realization is the acquisition of a right understanding of the nature of evil. It is not sufficient to deny or ignore evil. It must be understood. It is not enough to pray to God to remove the evil. You must find out why it is there and what lesson it has for you. It is of no avail to fret and fume and chafe at the chains that bind you. You must know why and how you are bound. Therefore, you must get outside of yourself and must begin to examine and understand yourself. You must cease to be a disobedient child in the school of experience and must begin to learn with your humility and patience the lessons that are set for your edification and ultimate perfection. For evil, when rightly understood, is found to be not an unlimited power or principle in the universe, but a passing phase of human experience. It is therefore it therefore becomes a teacher to those who are willing to learn. Evil is not an abstract something outside of yourself. It is an experience in your own heart, and by patiently examining and rectifying your heart, you will gradually be led into the discovery of the origin and nature of evil, which will necessarily be followed by its complete eradication. All evil is corrective and remedial, and is therefore not permanent. It is rooted in ignorance of the true nature and relation of things. And so long as we remain in that state of ignorance, we remain subject to evil. There is no evil in the universe which is not the result of ignorance, and which would not, if we were ready and willing to learn its lesson, lead us to higher wisdom and then vanish away. But people remain in evil, and it does not pass away because they are not willing or prepared to learn the lesson that it came to teach them. I knew a child who every night, when its mother took it to bed, cried to be allowed to play with the candle. And one night, when the mother was off guard for a moment, the child took hold of the candle. The inevitable result followed, and the child never wished to play with the candle again. By its one foolish act, it learned, and learned perfectly, the lesson of obedience, and entered into the knowledge that fire burns. And this incident is a complete illustration of the nature, meaning, and ultimate result of all sin and evil. As the child suffered through its own ignorance of the real nature of fire, so older children suffer through their ignorance of the real nature of the things which they weep for and strive after, which harm them when they are secured. The only difference being that in the latter case, the ignorance and evil are more deeply rooted and obscure. Evil has always been symbolized by darkness and good by light, and hidden within the symbol is contained the perfect interpretation, the reality. For just as light always floods the universe, and darkness is only a mere speck or shadow cast by a small body intercepting a few rays of the illimitable light, so the light of the supreme good is the positive and life-giving power. Page 60, which floods the universe, and evil, the insignificant shadow cast by the self that intercepts and shuts off the illuminating rays which strive for entrance. When night folds the world in its black, impenetrable mantle, no matter how dense the darkness, it covers but the small space of half our little planet, while the whole universe is ablaze with living light, and every soul knows that it will awake in the light in the morning. Know, then, that when the dark night of sorrow, pain, or misfortune settles down upon your soul, and you stumble along with weary and uncertain steps, that you are merely intercepting your own personal desires between yourself and the boundless light of joy and bliss. And the dark shadow that covers you is cast by none and nothing but yourself. And just as the darkness without is but a negative shadow, an unreality which comes from nowhere, goes to nowhere, and has no abiding dwelling place, so the darkness within is equally a negative shadow passing over the evolving and light born soul. But why pass through the darkness of evil at all? Because by ignorance you have chosen to do so, and because by doing so you may understand both good and evil, and may more appreciate the light by having passed through the darkness. As evil is the direct outcome of ignorance, so when the lessons of evil are fully learned, ignorance passes away and wisdom takes its place. But as a disobedient child refuses to learn its lessons at school, page 61, so it is possible to refuse to learn the lessons of experience and thus to remain in continual darkness and to suffer continually recurring punishments in the form of disease, disappointment, and sorrow. If you wish to shake yourself free of the evil which encompasses you, you must be willing and ready to learn and must be prepared to undergo that disciplinary process without which no grain of wisdom or abiding happiness and peace can be secured. You must shut yourself up in a dark room and deny that the light exists when it is everywhere without, and darkness exists only in this little room. So you may shut out the light of truth, or you may begin to pull down the walls of prejudice, self seeking, and error that you have built around yourself. So let in the glorious and omnipresent light. By earnest examination, strive to realize and not merely hold as a theory that evil is a passing phase, a self-created shadow, that all your pains, sorrows, and misfortunes have come to you by a process of undeviating and absolutely perfect law, have come to you because you deserve and require them. Okay, so demon absolute law have come because you not deserve and require them, and that by first enduring and then understanding them, you may be able, you may be made stronger, wiser, nobler. When you have fully entered into this realization, you will be in a position to mold your own circumstances, transmute all evil into good, and to weave with a master hand the fabric of your destiny. Page 63. The world, a reflex of mental states. What you are, so is your world. Everything in the universe is resolved into your own inward experience. It matters little what is without, for it is all a reflection of your own state of consciousness. It matters everything what you are within, for everything without will be mirrored and colored accordingly. All that you positively know is contained in your own experience. All that you ever will know must pass through the gateway of experience and so become part of yourself. Your own thoughts, desires, and aspirations comprise your world, and to you, all that there is in the universe of beauty and joy and bliss, or of ugliness and sorrow, page 64, and pain, are contained within yourself. By your own thoughts, you make or mar your life, your world, your universe. As you build within by the power of thought, so will your outward life and circumstances shape themselves accordingly. Whatsoever you harbor in the inmost chambers of your heart will sooner or later, by the inevitable law of reaction, shape itself in your outward life. The soul that is impure, sordid, and selfish is gravitating with unerring precision toward misfortune and catastrophe. The soul that is pure, unselfish, and noble is gravitating with equal precision toward happiness and prosperity. Every soul attracts its own, and nothing can possibly come to it that does not belong to it. To realize this is to recognize the universality of divine law. The incidents of every human life, which both make and mar, are drawn to it by the quality and power of its own inner thought life. Every soul is a complex combination of gathered experiences and thoughts, and the body is but an improvised vehicle for its manifestation. What, therefore, your thoughts are, that is your real self, and the world around, both animate and inanimate, wears the aspect with which your thoughts clothe it. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. Thus said Buddha, and it therefore follows that, page 65, if you are happy, it is because you dwell in happy thoughts. If miserable, because you dwell in despondent and debilitating thoughts, whether one is fearful or fearless, foolish or wise, troubled or serene. Within that soul lies the cause of its own state or states, and never without. And now I see to hear a chorus of voices exclaim, but do you really mean to say that outward circumstances do not affect our minds? I do not say that, but I say this, and know it to be an infallible truth, that circumstances can only affect you in so far as you allow them to do so. You are swayed by circumstances because you have not a right understanding of the nature, use, and power of thought. You believe, and upon this little word belief hang all our sorrows and joys, that outward things have the power to make or mar your life. By doing so, you submit to those outward things. Confess that you are their slave and they your unconditional master. By so doing, you invest them with a power which they do not of themselves possess, and you succumb in reality not to the mere circumstances, but to the gloom or gladness, the fear or hope, the strength or weakness which your thought sphere has thrown around them. I knew two men at an early age lost the hard earned savings of years. One was very deeply troubled and gave way to chagrin, worry, and despondency. The other, page 66, on reading in his morning paper that the bank in which his money was deposited had hopelessly failed and that he had lost all, quietly and firmly remarked, "Well, it's gone, and trouble and worry won't bring it back, but hard work will." He went to work with renewed vigor and rapidly became prosperous, while the former man, continuing to mourn the loss of his money and to grumble at his bad luck, remained the victim and tool of adverse circumstances, in reality of his own weak and slavish thoughts. The loss of money was a curse to the one because he clothed the event with dark and dreary thoughts. It was a blessing to the other because he threw around it thoughts of strength, of hope, and renewed endeavor. If circumstances had the power to bless or harm, they would bless and harm all people alike. But the fact that the same circumstances will be alike good and bad to different souls proves that the good or bad is not in the circumstance, but only in the mind of those who encounter it. When you begin to realize this, you will begin to control your thoughts, to regulate and discipline your mind, and to rebuild the inward temple of your soul, eliminating all useless and superfluous material and incorporating into your being thoughts alone of joy and serenity, page 67, of strength and life, of compassion and love, of beauty and immortality. As you do this, you will become joyful and serene, strong and healthy, compassionate and loving, and beautiful with the beauty of immortality. And as we clothe events with the drapery of our own thoughts, so likewise do we clothe the objects of the visible world around us, and where one sees harmony and beauty, another sees revolting ugliness. An enthusiastic naturalist was one day roaming the country lanes in pursuit of his hobby, and during his rambles came upon a pool of brackish water near a farmyard. As he proceeded to fill a small bottle with the water for the purpose of examination under the microscope, he proclaimed, with more enthusiasm than discretion, to an uncultivated farm boy who stood close by, upon hidden and innumerable wonders contained in the pool, and concluded, saying, "Yes, my friend, within this pool is contained 100, nay, 1,000,000 universes, had we but the sense or the instrument by which we could apprehend them." And the unsophisticated one ponderously remarked, "I know the water be full of tap holes, but they be easy to catch." Where the naturalist, whose mind was stored with the knowledge of natural facts, saw beauty and harmony and hidden glory, the mind unenlightened upon those things saw only an offensive mud puddle. The wildflower that the casual wayfarer thoughtlessly tramples upon is, to the spiritual eye of the poet, an angelic messenger from the invisible. To the many, the ocean is but a dreary expanse of water on which ships sail and are sometimes wrecked. To the soul of the musician, it is a living thing, and she hears in all its changing moods divine harmonies. Where the ordinary mind sees disaster and confusion, the mind of the philosopher sees the most perfect sequence of cause and effect. lift. And where the materialist sees nothing but endless death, the mystic sees pulsating and eternal life. And And as we clothe both events and objects with our own thoughts, so likewise do we clothe the soul of others in the garments of our thoughts. The suspicious believe everybody to be suspicious. Liars feel secure in the thought that they are not so foolish as to believe that there is such a phenomenon as a strictly truthful person. The envious see envy in every soul. Misers think everybody is eager to get their money. Those who have subordinated conscience in the making of their wealth sleep with a revolver under their pillow, wrapped in a delusion that the world is full of conscienceless people who are eager to rob them. The abandoned sensualist looks upon the saint as a hypocrite, and on the other hand, those who dwell in loving thoughts see in all that which calls forth their love and sympathy. The trusting and honest are not troubled by suspicions. The good natured and charitable who rejoice at the good fortune of others scarcely know what envy means, and those who have realized the divine within themselves recognize it in all beings, even in the beasts. Men and women are confirmed in their mental outlook because of the fact that by the law of cause and effect they attract to themselves that which they send forth, and so come in contact with people similar to themselves. The old adage, birds of a feather flock together, has a deeper significance than is generally attached to it. For in the thought world, as in the world of matter, each clings to its kind. Do you wish for kindness? Be kind. Do you ask for truth? Be true. What you give of yourself, you find. Your world is a reflex of you. If you are one of those who are praying for and looking forward to a happier world beyond the grave, here is a message of gladness for you. You may enter into and realize that happy world now. It fills the whole universe, and it is within you, waiting for you to find, acknowledge, and possess. What you have to do is believe this. Simply believe it with a mind unclouded by doubt, and then meditate upon it till you understand it. You will then begin to purify and to build your inner world. And as you proceed, passing from revelation to revelation, from realization to realization, you will discover the utter powerlessness of outward things beside the magic potency of a self governed soul. Page 70. The next section is the way out of undesirable conditions on page 71, and we will get to that in the future.